Okay, so I have mysteriously, I just can't imagine how, got this skin in, and I am quite happy with it. New Babbage Spaceport is a little busy right now, so I'm gonna get out of here very soon. But in this lighting, I gotta tell you, Meridian skin looks pretty good. There's a new waypointing. I did not know where to open the cargo door before. On the 400i, it's at the front, from the front of the vehicle, front right, if you're facing towards the front of the craft. You can see the new elevator system is slightly different. They have raised it. I'm already seeing screenshots of folks on Discords posting like pictures of squeezing in, blowing off the wings of racing, small racing ships, and getting them in there by a wing and literally by a wing and a prayer. I don't know how they're gonna pull that off, but I'm gonna attempt to get my ROC in here at the very least, and my Cyclone MT. I still have the same mission as earlier, and this is something that I kind of seeing as my mission to get done if possible. Now earlier I suffered a 30k, and normally I don't bring those up too much if I have an issue with the game or a 30k in particular or something that crashed to menu in this case. But they tried to release persistence in the game today. So the idea was that if you had a issue, the ship would be recoverable in the exact state it was, with all the items inside, with all the cargo inside, and your inventory of the ship would be protected. It would take up to 10 minutes to recover, and then basically, yes, you would have your ship back. So let's get stepping. Kind of antsy. I don't know why. After I got into the ship and I got into this pilot seat now, I'm kind of really antsy at just getting this started and getting moving. I think it's because I kind of feel like I have a mission I really want to do. Okay, enough's enough. This ship is just... it's just not responsive sometimes. So they said they reworked the capacitor, which is nice. Where's my 90 degree? But this additional capacitor is helping a little bit get it up to speed faster, because its acceleration isn't too hot. And I'm already noticing myself, like, I probably could kick this propulsion over a bit more. So right now my triangle's at 33, 33, 33. And if I was to say drop the weapon and the shields a little bit, I could give myself a little nicer balance towards that propulsion, and that would probably give me a little more boost recharge, making that capacitor bonus even more valuable, because I'm really going for mobility at this moment. I can always change that back. In fact, I'm going to move that power over here where I can actually see it at the edge of my screen. Let's see. There's the service. I'll change that over to my shields, which is already on my right, but who cares? There's not too many MFDs I'm not excited about, especially on a ship of this scale, and I'm solo, and I'm not really planning to go into a fight, so I'm more interested in that power right now, really trying to give this capacitor bonus a run for its money. You can see the boost is really kind of hitting its peak at 986 at this current altitude. And yeah, that's not slow terribly. It's also not terribly fast. It's kind of average for this size of ship. That's not amazing, but it's not bad either. This is the what some people are calling the scratched metal skin, or the Show that must not be named skin. But it's the Meridian skin. You can pick it up now. I'll put the link below, as I think I mentioned in the previous part of this mission, the part 1 of this, before I had a crash and took care of some things. And back home on our mission. It is not stealthy at all. It's a lot like the Quicksilver skin. It is kind of like a darker metal finish, kind of like if somebody was to say add a finish to a metal. But it looks so good, especially against this bright white backdrop of Microtech. The planet really reflects so much light. It really looks nice. But yeah, I'm very happy they made that decision. I saw they sent out an email about it. I was really surprised. It was like, that's pretty responsive of them, to not only change course and say, look, it's not just for pre-orders, but also for anybody can buy the skin separately. But they even sent an email out to let everybody know. That was pretty smooth. Like, I got to give them credit for that. I'm not saying I always, give the benefit of the doubt, but I recognize when a good call is made. Now, one of the big frustrations is I got to go to the ground to go get ground vehicles. I know that sounds silly, but it's kind of annoying. I really wish the stations. I could be that I'm just. It's already been in the Acropolis. I'm looking for the research station. Because I know that has. There it is. I know this Ryari outpost has ground vehicles, and it seemed pretty solid. But I really wish the stations would just have a ground vehicle pad location, so I could take my ship over next to it, not get yelled at for leaving my ship on top of a pad. Don't make it an official ship pad, just make it like a holding, like a waiting area, and then have the pads for the ground vehicles that spawn. People walk out in spacesuits, they drive the vehicle over to their ship, and then the ship goes and travels away. I would like to see something like that, like a exchange yard. I think of in real life, I think of ground transportation at an airport or at a train station. I think of those ways of kind of merging multiple different travel solutions into one place. It just makes sense if you're going to have because that's really what most stations are. They're kind of just waypoints on your way through your journey of getting somewhere else. And I think ground vehicles would be considered. They're not just a piece of cargo. I think that's really the idea, was they'll just be a piece of cargo you'll queue up in an elevator. And that might be the way it goes. We know persistent hangars are going to be one of the first things. So you won't own it. It'll be a rented hangar that you basically you can practically live out of it if you really wanted to. It's an instance location, and you pay rent, and planetary outposts, planetary landing locations, the big ones, like Area 18, New Babbage, Horizon, Lorville. All of those will be the big ones, but I suspect we'll slowly get more and more, but smaller ones at stations, or some other type of service like that. But over time, we will have the ability to kind of have these elevators that can queue up our items to spawn directly inside the hangar, which will be useful to basically queue up your inventory. And I suspect that's what they're going to do with ground vehicles too. You'll queue your ground vehicles up, and they'll appear in this massive cargo elevator, and you'll just drive the ROC right out and right into your ship. But that's a ways out. I would like to see some basic methodology, like a Platinum Bay, which is already in the stations, has a extension that just does outside. That's its whole job. It's just you spawn out, you spawn it on the elevator, or make it so you go into the Platinum Bay inside the stations that's already there. You go to a kiosk, and it says, oh, your vehicle will be available for the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or something. And that gives you time to go spawn your ship, go fly your ship around, drive over to the side, go to one of those waiting areas, grab, and either you or an org mate or a friend go and grab the vehicle and drive it over. That would make sense. You could even get clever. Okay, all right, we're getting close. Sorry, I got yammering. But you could even add like an elevator, for example, to really support it. But I think that would be too long term. You know, that'd be a whole new redesign. But to be fair, I'm not quite sure how the heck the Platinum Bays are. They had like waiting areas in them for commercial flight. I'm not quite sure how the heck you're supposed to go to the commercial flights in the stations. I guess I'll have to go check one out soon and really see like how it's meant to be compared to what it is. Now, if I land at this pad, will it yell at me? That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Sorry for the bright blinking red lights. I use them for navigation, but I realize it's probably kind of irritating, considering it's not necessary once I'm landed. Here. My attention was on trying to get this right. And that was a durability test. That was it. Yes, a durability test on the landing gears. As always, I'm leaving my engines off, but my system's running. And in my recent Liberator video, I talked about how, like, in exposed flight decks, you do the same thing. Yeah, on the Kraken and on the Liberator, it would be very wise to leave your everything running but your engines. And that's because you will need those shields and also the other systems on board the ship to basically keep everything safe, keep your world spinning right. And just some thoughts. It's not a bad idea here either. Even though I have the bottom open, somebody who's just wandering by, unless they have an A2 or something, might just take a couple passes, see if it blows up, and wander away. If I had the ship off, the shields would not be functional, and I wouldn't have any chance at all to save the ship. Okay. Now, I gotta do 2 claims here. We're gonna claim the Cyclone. And we're going to claim uninitialized. That'd be a cool YouTube channel name. Let's do the ROC as well. So these are the 2 I'm most excited about. The Grey Cat ROC and the Cyclone. There is a box over here on the... Oh, it's gone. There was a box with an ammo marking on top, and there was a few different food, and there was like a gun and some ammo and stuff in here, and a knife. I don't know if a player left it. This is the same place. It was Ravari. But, oh, here's one. Animus Missile Launcher Magazine with 3 capacity. Okay, some roots. Demon Fang Combat Knife! There it is. The infamous, the legendary Demon Fang Combat Knife. The plague of 3.14. And I think even in the patch notes for this 3.15 PTU M said that it didn't exist. Well, there it is in the spawn. Right there. I don't know if I really need a missile launcher mag or a railgun mag, but let's just grab at least one of them and we'll throw it on the ground inside the ship and test that. And see how these inventory on the ground is supposed to look. Because that's part of this game. No. Okay, how do I leave this menu? It's one way, I guess. I open up the Moby Glass with my F1. Just to the heck of it, see if it will work. Okay, so first one up is the Cyclone MT. This is the vehicle that that may have crashed my game earlier, but I'm just stubborn like that. And for the record, I am on New Babbage. Technically, I could run around with no helmet on, but that might actually improve my survivability. Wearing the spacesuit that comes with your gear. Engage systems. Now this time, the vehicle did not give me a hard time to sit. It started right up. Could have been a server issue earlier. There was a lot of people hitting the servers. Could have been my computer. That's the game. Is like, unfortunately, you never quite know why it happens most of the time anyway. Okay, so will this turret be the one that blocks me? Because if that's the case, then I'll just do this. Now they said they increased the height of the landing stance of the 400i, and they also changed the elevators. I think the width. I think they made it thinner, or they moved it. They smoothed it out, like made it wider or something, or higher. Okay. I think I'm going to have to get a little creative here if I want to stay inside this vehicle while it goes up. Okay, it's a little sketchy, but obviously I would turn off the engine, but it's in. It barely fits. I mean, it's squeaking in, but it does fit. You have to come in from the front of the craft in order to fit. It is bumping around slightly, so you might hear a couple noises up above, but as far as I can tell, this should work. It's one of those if it fits, it sits philosophies. So, while I'm just kind of hanging out here, let's play around with the climate control concept. Huh. You ever get the feeling like you might be one of the first people to ever actually try this? Like everybody talks about it, but like you have that moment where you get to be the person that gets to try it. I'm sure I'm not the first one to do it. I'm sure there's somebody else but maybe I'm the first one to video it. I'm not quite sure. I feel like I feel like this is like the moment when like I've unleashed a horrible new horror, and the refrigeration will help these things grow and take over the ship or something. But oh god, I've given them a railgun magazine. Okay, well, while they're studying the railgun magazine and learning about humans' dangerous instincts about railguns, I guess we'll yeah, I'm not quite trustworthy of those things, but okay. I guess that's like how you're supposed to feel about alien stuff. It's like, yeah, I'm not quite, ugh, but at the same time, I've gotta, you know. Okay, mistakes were made. I did not choose to hop out of that seat. I don't know why it did that. Maybe it was to save me. I don't know. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, you take that right up there, Mr. Car. Okay, so if you have a problem with your Cyclone MT and you somehow go slightly too far back, try to be clever, I would come up the ramp. I would not go back there and take an additional risk that you really don't have to take. The new button is at the bottom, note that. Which I think is better, just to be clear. Bottom of the room, bottom of the ship, bottom of there. Okay, alright, let's try this again. So I think because the exit button is like at the same, yeah. So there's an exit button there if you turn back too far. So you have to be mindful of the exit button. Let's see, can I squeeze past without dying? Yes. Okay, cool. Now, if I wanted to quickly get away, can I go to the left or the right of the mounts and just kind of drive off? No, because of the ramps. Because of the way the ramps are set up. You have to go forward, and that means that that staircase has to be up to comfortably be able to do this. I mean, you can make it a hard turn, but why? Why take that? Why do that? You know, why do that to yourself? Okay. I don't even know what I'm bumping into little lights. Those lights look like they belong on the reclaimer. They're only a little bit wider. Wow, there's so many little lights. Maybe they're put there on purpose to stop people from like harassing with a vehicle, like trying to run everybody over. Like I could picture like a player griefing another player with a vehicle. That's a possibility that they want to try to avoid that. Because those lights just seem really far away from the buildings. And why wouldn't they just use spotlights? Or have like a road system, like in Alaska, they have like these grids on the ground made out of like old pallets and stonework and stuff. And they kind of have their ATVs and their side-by-sides and their dirt bikes kind of drive up and down those. And whatnot. Until the snow machines or time has come. Okay, so I tried the PTV before. It did not work right. I don't know if it'll work this time, but I prefer to try the ROC and just kind of stick with the usuals. I want to know the Cyclone MT and the ROC work, and that's the big ones for me. And not only can they work, it's like I want to know, is it breaking half the vehicle trying to get inside, in and out? Because especially like the ROC, for example, you're constantly going to be in and out of that vehicle. Constantly. There's no debate about this. You're going to go down, you're going to go and find a space to mine, and you're going to literally be getting back in the ship to go somewhere else to go mine some more.
Systems activating.
Okay, so now that we know about the turret in the back, I'm just kind of planning to kind of go to the front of the vehicle and constantly go from the front. And I would mention that it's a little tight underneath here still. So if you're on unimproved surfaces, you're going to have to be careful, really, really careful selecting your locations. Maybe have somebody spot you and kind of help you work through that. Well, shucks. We have our answer, folks. I think I caught that lip of that ramp just slightly too far, and all heck broke loose. The vehicle's small enough that it really won't impact you too much, but it does impact you. So, jeez. The light bar on top of the ROC does not do it any favors below this ship. This ship clearly was not meant for this height. You can actually see it rubbing down and pushing, like loading the shocks of the ROC. But it works. It's not great, but it works. And sometimes I think that's what we get, you know, when we do these things. And even more importantly,
Systems off.
this is not a good situation to be in.
Systems activating.
Or it was fine. Okay.
Systems on.
So there is a significant headache when you're rolling alone in this ship. trying to get in and out of these dang vehicles and get into the ship.
Systems off.
You can tell I haven't been on an ROC in a long time. What the hell? Okay, so you can get in and out. If you're more familiar with an ROC, you'll have a much easier time of it because I made it look worse than it actually is. You can see it fits. It does fit fine. It is a little bumpy. You can see that. Its shock absorbers will take it just fine. You might hear a little bit of noise bustling around just like the other ones. But at the end of the day, it works. And if you want to take it even easier, if you're taking the ship out, you could vehicle out. You could be the person who just hops in to the back here. Like once it's down on the ground, that's when you hop in. Now with this turret being where it is and it doesn't retract, it kind of does not suit very.
Friendly.
It's yelling at me for bumping into my own ship. Basically, oh wait, the mining gun. Is that what it means? Because I didn't pull the trigger until just now testing it. Anyway, that's the ROC, and it is what it is. It fits. It's not super comfortable, but it fits just fine. You could put either one of those vehicles in, and if you have those vehicles in your inventory, or any of the other Cyclones for that matter, this is like the worst offender because of all these big missiles mounted on top with the big gun on a rotating turret, and then a person stands on the back. I would not advise that. If you put a person inside the turret, they're going to hop out before you go inside that ship. Think about how hard it was just for us to squeeze underneath the ship. Imagine if a person's head was getting bumped up against the top of the ship. It's probably not a good idea. Unless you really gave him a hard helmet and you want to laugh. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how well that's going to work out for him. But it seems like it's very close, if not at the peak. Right at that level is the person's head in the turret. That's just another thought. Also, that's an interesting design. Compliments the designer for that. So on this turret, the missile banks, at least these parts of it, have armor. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in that turret if somebody shot, say, a railgun round into the warhead of a missile, but the actual missile bank, it protects the gunner a little bit. It's nice. Okay, so we're kind of in a weird position now. We've actually succeeded at our first mission. The server is running rock solid, and it was pretty busy at Dubavitch. There was like 4 people there, players. Do I want to roll the dice and try to get a Grey Cat in there? Probably not. The Grey Cat has very small wheels, so it's always a challenge to get. It's never a pleasant experience trying to get it into something like any ship at all, but it does eventually work. Maybe the Dragonfly. That's actually a real ship, and a lot of people have one, and yeah, like you can see, it's really reasonable to replace it if it breaks. So who knows, maybe the Dragonfly would be a wise decision. Let's find out. But once again, if these can fit, if those little wheels on the Grey Cat work, it'll be fine. If you've ever looked at the Grey Cat, I would not advise buying one nowadays, but if you still have one, I would not melt it. I think it's like $5 or something back in the day. That's what I picked it up for. That's worth it. More, not so much. Full disclosure, I am terrible in Dragonflies. I didn't even bother to put my skins on it or anything. I mean, that's like half the fun of a motorcycle, is putting a decent paint job on it.
Thank you, and please visit again.
And thank you all you want, but I really want my ship. Did my 400i despawn? Or is it just cold? I am pretty sure my 400i despawned. In just those couple seconds. Going back and forth, back and forth. So culling would be like the technology that makes it invisible to make my graphics work better at close range. My settings are all on usually on high, with only medium for the cloud setting, so it shouldn't really cull much. And I just surfed both pads over here, and it is not in either one. My ship is effectively despawned. It is not culled, as far as I can tell. That's unfortunate. So that ends this play session, at least in the way I was hoping it would go. So now, remember the heartbeat system is not active yet in this patch. So basically, there is no backup solution here. There's just declaring it lost or respawning it somehow and hoping for the best. Yep, claim, because it's too big to. Let me try the tracking system. I always try to give every benefit of the doubt. No. Let's track the Grey Cat ROC, no problem. My 400i is nowhere to be found. That's this game to me in a lot of ways. It's so bittersweet. There's so many little things that are just so awesome, and then other times it just gets ripped from you at the last moment. Do I have 100i? I do not. So why I'm saying that is because the 100i can be spawned at these locations, regardless if they have ship pads or not that can spawn ships. So that's why I would prefer to just pad it out. Yeah, that stings a little bit. Let's see if we can expedite this. Minute wait. Now, how do I walk away from a large container? Right click. Okay. No coffee for me. Nice hull series. Is that a hull D or E? Sure looks like one. I think it's both. Might be a D and an E. Those are going to be truly a sight for really interesting eyes. And with this new system that's going to offer persistence, I'll put some information up on the screen if I haven't already by this point in this video. It's going to be very exciting for haulers. Suddenly there can be some trust that those millions of AUEC that you have in your hull worth of resources actually will get where they need to be. Let's see, are they going to we're sorry me or... Yeah. I picked a light fighter on purpose. I was hoping that it would work. Clearly, these new so they changed this from the Java UI to Building Blocks UI. I don't know if they rolled that out or not yet. It does seem like they did. It's very responsive, although it could just be because the responder server is responsive. On both of my playthroughs today, the Building Blocks UI seems to have worked flawlessly, and if it's the case, hats off to them. Unfortunately for me, there is no option of a actual ship that has quantum and can fly at these locations. So I've only got one other option, aside from the one I don't want to do. Hashtag PTU. I really don't like dragonflies. I can't even blow up my own ship because I'm an armistice. That would have been a great way to end this. Okay, if I can't break it, maybe I can just use this to climb onto it. It's just like the definition of first moon problems here. Now, just because I don't like dragonflies doesn't mean I don't know how to fiddle with them. So hopefully I can tame this this bull here. Or bucking bronco, like a horse. There we go. There's no quantum menu because there's no B key. You know, I could put out a contract to request help. I really could. But, I mean, I'm on the other side of New Babbage. I'm like thousands of miles. Well, 1,000 miles from civilization. There are no ship spawns as far as I know. There's only waypoint, like abandoned shelters and stuff. And this thing really doesn't fly per se. But you can kind of bump it and then kind of throw it in the air. Yeah. There ain't no GTA style jet biking off of across the atmosphere here. So yeah, this is where this one will end. It's very bittersweet with this game. It's like 1 minute you feel like, wow, this is really the most amazing game I've ever played, and the next minute you realize it's still getting there. You know, it's still in testing. It's still in alpha, especially on the PTU, but also on the live server, just to a lesser extent. You know, you really got to pack your patience. This isn't the worst way to go. Look at that sunrise. kind of weird. I have like an emotional attachment to this character now. I feel horrible for this character because I know I'm gonna have to kill it off in a second. Sorry, regenerate it. You know, and you're just looking at it and going, well, shucks. You didn't do anything wrong, but sorry, man. So, this also is a cautionary tale for solo players to be mindful of. You gotta really be mindful of how long you've been away from your ship. I don't really have an easy answer for you. Like you saw, I was in and out of the ship over and over again. I don't know why it despawned. My best guess is... that I didn't hop in the pilot's seat and physically, like, just move the ship a hair and move it back down or something in the span of a 5-minute period or something. Could also be that pad, even though it's not a player pad and it didn't have no mention of risking warnings or anything or blocking an active landing zone. It could be there's some type of hidden thing there where they cleared off those pads over time to avoid griefers or just avoid people stacking up in the same spot if there's some desirable trade location. So maybe if I parked to the side of it after I was done my test, that would have been smart. I'm not sure. I think you could shoulda, coulda, woulda it forever, but really it's it happens. It is what it is. That's it. And once again, we're in testing universe. As a reminder, if you're ever wondering, like, what does 3.15 and the localized inventory mean? Well, if you have the gear on you and you die, you lose it. So I may lose this shotgun. I'm probably going to lose this suit of gear. Sooner than I'd anticipated, because I can hear the beeps going crazy more and more now. Goodbye, little Bronco. So all that money, all that time, and not enough of it, really. And there's no inventory for me to save it in, unfortunately. So the only real thing I'm losing is the shotgun, but I'll get that back in the next patch. That'll probably be 24 hours from now. Alrighty. Let's find out how New Babbage's health system works. No, I don't believe that. I think I'll end up back at New Babbage. Okay. So you can see it's a tier 1 hospital. Flight suit and a helmet have been placed in your local storage. No injuries detected. My imprint is still valid here. Time to get the heck up. Oh. Hello, people. You're all just hanging out in here, okay. Lando. Ooh. This is my first time on the upper floors of the Brentworth Center over in New Babbage's hospital. Weapon lockers, suit locker. Ignore the fuses where that'd be behind the suit locker right there. Or clothing locker. I'm guessing this is meant to be a bathroom. Unless it's a pass-through between rooms, but I guess not going to be able to get dressed in there. The door won't open. I tried. Let's see how well these filters work. Oh. Just put it back. So the filters, okay, there we go. Where is the normal suit? Here, I'll wear the rust one, I guess. Or not. This is my character going, nah. Killed me off. You better put some normal suit on me. Okay. I really don't want to put anything fancy on. I hate to say it that way, but don't think that's fancy, but I could be wrong. Sure as heck ain't gonna wear anything flashy. I can't get the filters off. There it is. Okay, so don't use filters for now on this patch. There we go, another shotgun. In a lot of my testing, I use shotguns like crazy because they're great for defending a ship or just a get-off-me weapon. They're not helping with this whole overdose situation where people are using the medical gun to have people overdose. I don't know if they fixed that in this patch or not. So I just don't want to wear anything super flashy, not just because out there you might lose it when you die, but also somebody might take it here while you're just playing normal. And that's really not good. Yeah, it's one thing to lose it in a fair fight or, you know, even though a glitch, but it's another just where somebody can grief you. But anyway, these upper floors look really good. I think the way the hospital's coming out is nice. I strongly suspect that if they haven't already fixed that glitch, where people can use medical guns to overdose players, and Safe zones, I strongly suspect they will have that fixed very soon. Inside the store, you can get those drugs. And, well, just because people can misuse them doesn't mean you shouldn't have them. And you can see they're pretty reasonable.
I think you're going to be happy with that.
I hope I don't need it. There's the healing gun. And here's the drugs. There's tons of cheat sheets on Reddit for these drugs.
Smart buy.
I've also seen them on a few different discords. Like always. I mean, the community's been really great about this. It reminds me a lot of Fallout, where they didn't want to use the proper drug names so they didn't get in trouble. That's what it is. In fact, the oxygen is just oxy. It's just oxygen. Anyway, whatever it is. You basically have a base heal stat. You have these drugs that you have to use to suppress injuries and all the effects of injuries. So if somebody broke their arm, you can make them feel better so they can walk on it a little bit until they run out. Not quite sure what that glitch is. Guess he's going to the commons. He's had a bit too much coffee. You have fun in there, buddy. Alright, next time I have you guys, I'll be in a ship again. We'll go over to Jumptown. Probably in a different ship, though. So, one of the ships that I got out of mothballs it was sitting there for years, was an 890. I figured with all the medical changes happening, I figured what better way to counteract those issues than to be able to literally be able to respawn on my own ship. But I'm going to take care of that once I take off. I don't want to get yelled at by the dock managers. Something that I'm hoping will eventually go away, that rule. But with persistent hangars and renting your own hangar. And it's pretty cool if you haven't heard that concept yet. The way the persistent hangars work, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like how it exactly works is each instance, there can be as many as they want. They'll be sitting in like the equivalent of, the best way to describe it, and I've heard people cringe when I say it this way, but this is the way it makes sense in my brain, is you will be in this hangar. Let's say this hangar I'm talking about. Until I go and I queue up the door to get it to open, I'm sitting in the nether, basically. I'm sitting underneath the station. There can be as many as they want, as many as people want, and everybody can be happy-go-lucky with their own areas, protected areas that are not on a timer. You can tune your ships, you can work on them, you can form up a group, your org can have a meeting, anything you want. And then once you go to queue up the hangar opening, that's when basically the hangar becomes real. The elevator, so to speak, is moved to one of the physicalized hangar locations. So at New Babbage, let's say there's 25 doors of different sizes. Suddenly when you queue it up, one of the applicable doors for that size ship will need to be opened, and that's when it'll be opened. So once again, that's how my brain functions, figures it out. I know it's overly simplifying it, because there is actually cargo elevators that go into those into these instanced hangars that I'm calling an elevator, the way they work. But that's how my brain wraps its head around the complex idea of having all these instance rooms, And this isn't the first world to have instance locations, but they're going to be real once they go to take off. So you'll become part of the game world again. Relearning how to work this ship. It's very bulky. It's very, very, very bulky. And you'll watch that hydrogen fuel gauge just go down and down. So, can I just... okay, exit. Okay. Move a little bit slower. I don't know. Oh, quasi-cap, basically, at this point. You're talking about a ship with a hangar, its own Tier 2 medical bay that's capable of regeneration. You're talking about it can field the Nova tank. I don't know if I ever used that video. That was kind of hilarious. Has 2 different airlocks, right there and right there. And yeah, it's quite a beast. It's quite a beast. And the funny thing is, most of this ship means not much to me. It's the services that are hidden underneath that really excite me. At these emergency bays. Mind you, a lot of a jump bay, don't they? There's a theory that these will be used for exiting Atmo in a big party or something like that, because there's one on this side and there's one on that side. Your folks can come in and jump in the seat if there has to be emergency maneuvers, and they already are in an emergency bay if the worst comes to it. And you can see, I mean, you've got eight seats in that thing. I know these exposed walls are mostly padded in this elevator, but still, it always creeps me out. Ah, goodness gracious. Go one up to the crew deck. And you can see that I'm leaving the armistice zone, so we'll be out in space, if not already, very quickly. There's 4 weapon racks in this thing. I'm not going to open every one, but there's 4 in here. All these doors. And then over here is where my destination is. Used to be that thing on the wall. Now it's here. Okay, so it's now that calm world instead of over here where that green light would go off. So now I have set my regeneration location to here. So if I die, I'll respawn here. In the front here, past the little waiting room, there is a hangar with your turret location. So that's a forward turret. This is also a turret here. And that's your decent sized hangar. You can see there's 2 pads inside here. People have fit some crazy things inside that hangar. There's all escape pods. It's a nice little crew break room here. And the crew rooms. There's also a crew kitchen, I think, in there. What was that noise? Go up as high as I can go. Okay. You know, back onto the RP decks. I mean, they'd be probably pretty cool once there's NPC bartenders and restaurateurs and stuff, and all that fun stuff. But really, to me, the lower part, the crew deck, is really what's exciting. And gosh dang that view. Even in the dark, it looks nice. When it's in the light, the reflections actually look proper, and it looks just magnificent. You know, in one of the videos, I think the Gatsby video, they had a singer standing right here. And I was like, that right there to me is like this ship in a nutshell. It's like the Fifth Element ship, you know, with this grand yard and performances and stuff. But that's the funny part, is the real ship is hidden underneath all that stuff. This is just for show. This is just for pomp and circumstance. Alright, let's see how much quantum I got left now that we're in space. Sorry, hydrogen. I've got to really pound that into my head, the type of fuels, especially as they become more and more important to talk about. Especially when we start talking about quant jump gates and longer distance locations around the worlds. So we have to go to Yella, but what I guess what I have to do is go to Crusader first, and then pop over. So I can see the destinations there. I don't know why it's all gray looking, but that's the destination. Looks like it wants me to bump to OM1 because it's obstructed. Wow. Massive ship like this, and the computers are too slow to calculate this quickly. A short jump like this. Oh, so look at that thruster going. Look at this go. Must have been right on the edge of its capacitor usage. That's it. Average 33, 33, 33. But to be fair, my route is planned correctly. Oh, that was the quantum power-up of the system. The calibration is really nice. And this should be a very, very fast warp, even though it's supposed to be a long distance. It's one of the reasons I picked a bigger ship to kind of to do this with. So our destination is Jumptown, and this was like a very famous place to get yourself dead. On Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays in October, if you go inside the Jumptown building, you will be able to get a helmet. And they say they'll know exactly if you got in or not. They say it's that simple. You just go inside. I would do it more than once if you really want to be careful. Just kind of doing a pre-launch tech, so to speak, here. Got a shotgun. That should be good enough for Jumptown. Well, I think I have a sidearm too. Maybe I don't. Well, yeah. Let's, okay. So 12 rounds on a Devastator. I could do a grenade launcher if I was suicidal, but I'm gonna stick with that. I have like 2 grenade launchers with a single mag each. I think they've nerfed them a little bit since I've used them last, but before they were like insta-kills, and insta-killed the user most of the time too. But what are you gonna do? So bar, restaurant. The views in the front of the restaurant are pretty impressive, I gotta say. And I don't think it's going to be as loud inside these like posh spaces in Quantum in the future. I think that over time this will quiet down, and you might even have like, you know, piped in music or something. Especially on an Origin ship, I could see entertainment systems like that being in use. There is a turret that pops out of the ship up here in the front, and then it kind of gives a little bit of a show to this corporate boardroom right here. I'm inside a helmet, inside a ship. Somehow that area still tries to suffocate me. Right there. Strange. Yeah, nice little details. Those textures could be a little bit better. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think 315 is going to be a really good patch. I think that they kind of jumped the gun slightly with the whole death, localized inventory stuff all at the same time, and death means you lose your local stuff, and all that fun stuff, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I hope the restoration comes out and then a patch very, very soon, the next day or two. That would help a lot. If I think a lot of our trying to see what'll happen type situation, because this patch has kind of got not a lot of meat on the bones, except for fixing the 400i, which is welcome, but it is also a situation where there's not enough other things, you know, unless you have a 400i. So yeah. Not a terrible way to roll around, though. That's for sure. Even these hallways feel like a library. So, in the upcoming patch, 3.15, we got the A2 starting out. We've got the Ares', both the Ion and the Inferno, coming later. Same with the Redeemer. Will there be any surprises? And it got me thinking. Honestly, I feel like at CitizenCon they would have rolled out a surprise if there was one. But by the time 3.15 rolls out, if it was a smaller ship or a mid-sized ship, it wouldn't shock me if they had a ship that was already in the pipeline to be developed to be released as a surprise. Like that I kind of feel like we're at that stage where they kind of want something for the lull between CitizenCon and the annual sale to kind of rebuild hype and get people excited again. And I kind of feel like it wouldn't be impossible. It wouldn't be impossible to have that capability rolled out. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now. And if at the end of the day there is circumstances that do not allow for our involvement in the process of choosing which ships go through the pipeline first, you know, I think of the CitizenCon vote, and it's like, pick a ground vehicle or an exploration vehicle, etc. I'm not saying don't do that, but that's pretty limited. That's pretty limited in general. I can't help but think about that and kind of wonder if that's really the overall, like, as far as we should be involved. I think that there should be some perspective. And what I'm getting at is one of the ways you can pick to vote is with your basically with your wallets, with your choice of what ships you buy and what ships you show attention for in social media and on the spectrum. What ships seem to be the most popular, and I'm sure they look at stats as well quietly of like what actual ships are extremely popular and think, you know, what other things can we do for those type of folks? Oh, well, people like exploration ships. Okay, well, that's why we're picking exploration ships for the vote. That's why we're picking exploration ships like the 400i to develop and kind of focus that ship down into that realm. So if you want more of those type of things, you probably want to do more exploration focus and push for more exploration things. Same thing for combat. Same thing for mining. Um, that's a surefire way to get things going. And I feel like we're kind of at that crossroads with 315. If there is a surprise, they're certainly keeping it close to the chest. I, I, I feel like there's gonna be a finished ship or something that it's a surprise, but who knows? When I look at the 315 PTU patch notes that I'm currently playing, I look at the issues with like the multi-tool, the UI. I look at the weapon opening and closing weapons and inventory loadouts at the same time, and I see a lot of client and server fixes and back-end service timeout fixes. I kind of feel like we're in the middle of 314 PTUs already, even though we just started down this process and we're only in wave 1 only so far. I feel like we're in that part of the process where things are just kind of coming hot and heavy on the number of items that they're trying to knock out, and then they'll look at the number of items that are known issues. And there is a lot of things. One of the things that they mentioned with the known issue list that's a major issue is ground vehicles. And they said if you have your initial spawn, you should set that vehicles that you got through the pledge store, selecting an initial home location that supports ground vehicles like New Babbage would be best, because you don't want to have them stuck behind the claim system. You just saw me go through the claim system at another location, so you have to wait a few more seconds or a minute to get your ship. But if you want to avoid that little bit of a hiccup, pick a spot that already has that. New vehicles supported. Like Area 18 would be a bad idea because it does not support ground vehicles very well, if at all. But Lorville, New Babbage, they support ground vehicles very well. You can spawn them at the mall, and you can go at the commons, and you can go pick them up, and whatnot. Also, by the way, I'm sure you heard my character kind of like over here, kind of going. I'm fine with that because I have regeneration down below. I can literally just die and come back and grab my gear right off the person. It's kind of crazy like that. I mean, I'm not fretting about being shot at by players because I have huge shields on this thing. I have large class shields. Nothing's gonna mess with this thing. At least by itself. I guess if I see like 2 retaliators, I'd panic. I don't know. I might start hustling if I hear loud bangs, I guess. But we don't know what PDSs will do yet, but we do know that big shields are annoying to deal with, and twerps are getting more and more expensive over time. So that is one of the more interesting developments. I think that the Ares series will kind of change the game. Sorry to kind of change the tempo, by the way, but we came right out of warp, and this is something worth talking about. I think these type of topics are like little nuggets that really don't deserve a whole video, or really aren't talked about too much by everybody because of that. You know, it's like, oh, well, they're not really a whole video, but actually, let me see if I can go straight there. Is that too risky? Pretty sure now that I'm in the planetary system, I can literally just warp directly to Jumptown. So on Yella, there's a place called Jumptown down in the southern part of Yella. Okay, so it's gonna make me go to Yella. Actually, I see my triangle up there. Look at that cooldown, even though it's such a short range. Such a big ship to be powering around. This is so much overkill. But yeah, as the Areses and the Redeemer get kind of rolled out in later 315, I think they'll have more of an effect than the A2 has. The A2 has, really scared a lot of people that are on the ground. Word is getting out that you drop a bomb and it hits, it's going to obliterate things. And a lot of people are very worried about that. But you don't spend that much time on the ground unless you're shooting machinima or you're running a mission specifically on the ground, and it's not that common. I mean, it just, I guess here at Jumptown, I'm probably gonna get dropped the bomb on by an A2, so we'll see what it does to the big shields of the ship. But other than that, I don't know what really will change the game. Other than those three ships coming out later, both Ares size 7 weapons. The Inferno, though, might not have enough ammunition to finish the job on a capital or the quasi caps, like some of the bigger ships that have tons and tons and tons of hit points and shields and such. And then you have though the Ion would have the sustainment because they can constantly just reload. And then you have the Redeemers. The Redeemer, when it rolls out with its modularity and then also with its serious amounts of damage and shields capacity, is going to be very interesting. Going to be very exciting, I think.
Landing gear deployed.
Took so long to confirm the landing gear, I overshot the location. Must be Armageddon. They're off the grid. What does that even mean? It means Captain America here missed our landing zone by 1,000 kilometers. Or something like that. Let's see if there's any friendlies or not so friendlies here. Now, I have one trick to getting out of this ship without it getting stolen very easily. But I'm not quite sure if it'll even work. We're gonna find out, though. Okay.
Engines inactive.
Actually, I might die literally just making the jump. I forget if Yella has light gravity or not, but yeah, no, I'll try it. Can't hurt. Might be better to actually pull out a gun. Okay, at this point I'm just gonna go inside. I don't know why my buttons aren't working. I have no idea why I did that. Same old know how to party, folks, at the most dangerous spot in the entire freaking system. It's at one point. Would sit in these rooms and pop you, and they probably still would if they had the chance. But this is Jumptown. Supposedly, you just go here to get the helmet. I think I already have the helmet there. The Snarling Vandal, I think it... No, sorry, the Day of Vara mask. But, just in case it's a different one, or I'll get another one. Be nice. And, yeah. Let's get the hell on out of here, or at least die trying. I don't know why it's killing me, but... That is bizarre. And it only gave me a 5-second respawn time. Thought it'd give me like an hour or whatever it's supposed to. New Babbage. Did it really send me back to New Babbage? No. Okay, cool. I was gonna start wondering, like, what the hell's the point? Apparently it was severe impacted. Last time it was something different. Okay. So I am still attached to the 890 jump. By the way, if the ship is destroyed or it's otherwise unavailable, they would send you back to that primary care facility. That's the deal. So if you want to change that, remember to go and physically go to another hospital and change or station, and be sure to change your primary care facility. Also, this is a tier 2 bed. In the future, the tier 2 bed will not be able to fix every single thing. So you may wake up with a prosthetic or some other some other non-perfect thing, more scars or something. Whereas a tier 1 bed at like a major hospital facility. Yeah, remember to leave that weapon rack open. This is where you can park a Nova tank, or I guess a ballista. You could try it, but the Nova tank was already kind of a hair racer trying to get that to work. Let's try the stairs. Or sorry, the ladder. I don't think I've ever gone up this ladder system, or at least if I have, it's a long time ago. This will put you out right below the. Yep, cool. Right below the staircase. Also, I am back in my spacesuit. So, that's nice. With my gun. Also nice. So I regenerated with all my kit. I don't know how that makes sense, but I'm out of here. Or, you know what? That's about it. That's about it for this video. This is pretty cool. So, confirm the 400i has able to fit now a Cyclone MT and an ROC. Went to Jumptown and completed the mission. Showed you where it was on yellow, and tried to complete that mission. I think I'm just gonna log out in the bed and test that out next time I play. Hopefully it'll just put me here. I prefer the rooms next to the, so that's the bridge right there. Let me close that door, actually. I'm thinking about it. I don't even know if they lock or they make them user accessible, but it's better just to make it harder. But yeah, down here is 2 rooms. The big room is back there, but that's a whole nother challenge. Yeah, I like these smaller suites that are off to the sides, right below the main beds, the main the bridge, if you're running that. So yeah, this was a pretty cool day. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe. This is a gameplay video, but usually I'll have other videos coming out very soon. I want to do one that at least talks about the updates to the Banyu Merchantman, although obviously it's not a ship that's out yet, so I can't really give a full like cap talk video on the Banyu Merchantman until we know a little bit more. Hopefully there'll be some more answers very soon. I'm hoping for the next cap talk to be the Idris, but I might have to change that up. You know, if we find something out new about the Kraken or something, that might change things. But for now, this is it. Thanks, and fly safe.